Let's see what this puppy does with 1/4 inch thick steel. So here's what it looks like in the box. This is what you get, and it's amazingly well packaged. Comes with basically a half crate bolted onto it, frame, well packaged. Take out all the papers. We got a small wheel attachment. We'll go over that in a little bit. But that's basically to work sort of like a orbital sander. You can do different size wheels so that your sanding belt can get really small radii. It's really cool because you can get different sizes and they just slide right in. And they even went a step farther than a lot of companies, and they have 2 back ones as well, so that you can basically bring the belt into a tighter radii. So it's, instead of having it like this, the belt can go inside these 2 and then around that one for really small tight ones. So that's a really cool feature. All this little attention to detail, as you'll see in this video, is what makes this thing, which is why we went with it. Really impressive. So now that we removed all the newspaper, you can see exactly how it comes. Bolted to a frame, but just the time and effort. This is just the packing. Look at the time and effort they took to wrap certain parts individually so they don't get nicked up and scratched up. Zip tying it so it's not banging around inside it. This is your slider bar for your end piece, and basically this, if it just was bouncing around in there, it'd get all boogered up. Now sure, yeah, it'll wear out over time, and it is what it is, but I mean, you're paying for a brand new product. You don't want to have it show up with a whole bunch of nicks and scratches in it because somebody just threw it in a box. Everything's zip tied, everything's well packaged. Anything that's like important for not having surface scratches gets wrapped in cardboard. I mean, I'm looking at, like, if they do this with just the packing, think about the time and effort they put into the fit, finish, and the quality of this product. So we asked them what size drive wheel we need, and they recommended, since we have a 1.5 horsepower, to get a 5-inch. Again, they take the time to wrap it, because the last thing you want is your drive wheel all boogered up. Same thing with your other wheels. All the wheels, again, everything is just meticulously well packaged. And there's the big 5-inch drive wheel on the back. So once you go ahead and cut all the zip ties here and here on the back, that releases the arm, releases the back of this arm. All that's left is to unbolt it from the actual wooden plate, which is holding everything together. So you just unscrew these bolts here and there, and then it comes off of the plate. Alright, so once you get out of the box, here's what you got. Your platen with arm, fully adjustable for tilt. Your wheel, it's going to get bolted on here. High-speed bearings, beautifully finished wheel. Get that focus there, see if you can see the taper on it. Really nice job. And you got your second arm for your mount. And then obviously we have our small wheel accessory that we purchased, sold separately. Your tracking wheel, 4-inch, and your drive wheel, we upgraded to the 5-inch. And you got your base here, your arm, your adjuster, your hook, which is really nice. We'll show that later on, but it keeps the arm down so you can adjust the belts and swap them out with ease and not have to push and hold. It's got a flip down feature so you can actually have it horizontal as well as vertical. That's a super cool feature. And we'll show all that in a second here. One quick tip, obviously goes out saying, if you want this thing to last, you want it nice, and you want to have these beautiful finishes on your wheels, don't take your razor blade and hack up the wrapping. Be a little bit careful on it. Again, it's yours, do as you want with it, but if you're like us, you want it to last a long time, and you paid nice money for it, you want it in good condition, don't butcher it with your box cutter. So right now we're just mocking it up on our welding table to get an idea of the distance that you need to have from the side mount to this mount to get it square. And obviously the concept here is you can lift this arm and then flop the whole thing over on its side and have a horizontal. Of course, your motor is going to bolt here, so whatever you mount it to is going to have nothing here. So when it flops over, the motor can basically go down into that area. We want to get moving on this thing now so we can use it, so we're just going to, for right now, mount it up on a table. And this is where you have your two arms go. And again, like we showed you earlier, you got your lock here. Press that, pops loose. And you can put your belt, adjust it there, which is very, very cool. But take a look at the fit and finish on this thing. I mean, seriously, it's just very impressive. It is aluminum, so I'm sure some guys are like, oh, it's going to wear out quicker, but you'll see that they did a nice job, and they put steel inserts here and here for your clamp down. And you can also get adjustable, indexable locking arms as well, which is kind of a nice option. And they did an insert here on the adjustment wheel. Basically anything that's going to be threaded in and out has steel inserts put onto it, which is really nice. So it'll last a lot longer. Alright, so when you're mounting this up, obviously you need to figure out what you're going to mount it to, whether you want it transportable, mobile, or permanently on a solid workbench or table. We found this mobile cart we had floating around the shop. It had an old sander grinder on it that we're obviously retiring for this. For right now, we're going to mount it on this, see if it works. But the nice thing is it'll keep you can keep spare stuff below it, belts, and keep your controls out of the way, electronics. And we had it. It's easy to mount to. So basically you want to lay it out and clamp it down. If you want it true, put a 90-degree on it and make sure it's squared up and down. And mark all your holes, drill them, and bolt them down. Obviously you want to make sure this thing is square. That's your tilt arm. And again, if you're going to plan on doing a horizontal flip down, then you're going to need to chop out an area here so that the motor can flop down when you take this and flip it over on its side. Alright, so once you're done bolting it to your table, your next step obviously is going to be hooking up the motor. If you're lucky, you have the same bolt pattern. I think this is a standard industry one for most motors, but ours, not so lucky. We have a old 1.5 that we got off of our lathe that we're putting on here, DC, with a speed controller, and it's not. So we're going to actually mount it directly here so it sticks out the hole far enough. But alright, so your next step's going to be to go ahead and install the tracking wheel. Just basically mount the adjuster on this piece right here. Just unscrew the little nut, slide the adjuster on there, and slide the bolt, tighten it down. You want this thing tight to where it's snug, so there's no play, but don't crank it so you can't adjust it. So basically this nut right here, just tighten it down just enough that you can hand move it up and down, but not so much that it binds. Alright, so now you want to go ahead and install your tracking wheel, and obviously you do it with the recess on the inside and the brass bushing on the inside, and you're going to tighten this nut down just a little bit past being tight on the bearing. Don't over tighten it. You're not trying to crunch the bearings and ruin them. You want it tight enough, just enough so there's no side to side slop, and maybe like a 1/16 turn more than that to keep it snug. But it's a lock nut, jam nut, so you don't have to worry about backing off. You don't have to crank it down. You don't want to ruin the bearings. There is a spacer in there to keep it from getting crushed too much, but it's still, you don't need to over tighten it. Alright, then you want to take your platen out, and same thing again. Take the nut off. 2 brass bushings, the bigger one on the inside. Take the wheel, slide it on there. And again, there's a little spacer in the middle, so you want to make sure that's lined up. If it's not lined up, it won't slide on the shaft. Take the brass bush on the outside, and the nut. And same thing again. Tighten it down just so everything mates and it's nice and snug. So obviously everybody's motor is going to be different, what they use and how you mount it. It's all specific on the motor you bought. Going over how we do ours versus the 1,000 other is kind of silly because it's all dependent on what you got. And whatever motor you buy will come with the instructions. But basically the concept, they're all going to be the same. You're either going to mount it to this plate or you're going to mount it to a block, true it up, set up the wiring system for it and a switch so you can have it on and off. If it's an adjustable speed motor, you'll have a sensor for that. But that's so many options, so many different kinds out there. We're not going to do a whole video on how to install a motor because there's about 90% chance it's going to be different than the one you have. So installing the motor part of it is definitely something you should read the instructions that come with the motor, because that'll be specific versus this part of it. So we're going to go ahead and install the motor, finish that up, and then come back and show you the final instructions on how to finish assembling the whole belt sander. Alright, so we got our motor wired up. Got a little drop cloth here over our electronics so they don't get any shavings or anything on them until we build a little enclosure over here for the power switch, kill switch, the potentiometer. One thing we are going to do, we bought these indexable locking handles so that way you don't have to pull out the Allen wrench every time you want to slide your bars in or out or adjust them. These are really nice. RPI does sell these, so you can get them from them when if you order one of these. So we're going to do that next. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and install the drive wheel onto the motor. You're going to back out the little grub screw, and they did a nice job because they bored the hole out and then at the very end is threaded, so you can actually install, which we would recommend, a little blue Loctite just so that that thing doesn't slowly work its way out, especially since it's spinning. You don't want that thing coming loose. And get that thing in there and go ahead and slide that onto the shaft. And this is where you're going to kind of want to make sure you have it aligned up, because obviously you've got play all the way from tight against the plate to all the way out. So make sure you measure the distance from this plate as a reference to the edge of this, and the same thing for here, so you have the offset correct on the shaft and make sure it's not too far in, not too far out. Alright, so next you want to do is install your lower arm in here, and you basically are going to slide it up. This is just to start out with. You put it on there. The rest is fully adjustable to tilt at any angle you want, just about. So if you want it square, put it on there, and then you tighten the little pinch bolt underneath it, which allows it to rotate any direction. And then you want to obviously pull it out before you put your belt on it. But the beauty of it is that you can have just about any angle you want coming up at that platen. Alright, so everything's been tightened down and we got all the wheels on, and all that's left now is to go ahead and install the belt. And as we showed earlier, it's got the lock here so that when you want to put the belt on, you basically just push it in there, lock it down. This gives you some slack. You go ahead and put the belt on, tighten down your arm, and then just push this to release it. Alright, so all you do to put the belt on is go ahead and put it around wheels. Get that lined up there. You go ahead and pull the platen out tight. Tighten the bar. All done. And before you fire the wheel up, obviously make sure it's tracking right. You want it to be flush with the two top and bottom wheels. And again, before you turn on the power, go ahead and just check all your nuts on your wheels. Make sure they're all tight. Last thing you want is a wheel coming loose at speed. And if you have an adjustable speed controller, turn it down and bring it up slowly. If you've got a single speed with 3 wheels, pulleys on it, then just go ahead and bring that down as well. But no matter what you do, just try to start it slow. And go ahead and bring in your steady rest there. Little gap. Tighten everything down. And go ahead and fire it up. Alright, so let's fire it up. First thing you want to do, safety glasses, and it would be a good idea to have a hat on, sleeves up. You don't want anything accidentally getting stuck in there. Let's see what this puppy does with 1/4 inch thick steel. Rounded edge. Real quick and easy. This is 36 grit. Obviously you can use whatever grit you want. Different shapes, different sizes. Alright, hope you enjoyed our video of the Reader belt sander. And for more information and ordering, we'll have a link in our description below. And you can also go to their website at readerproducts.com. But the time we've used it so far, it works great. The finish on it is top notch. The Reader guys have been in business, I guess, for quite a while. We did a lot of research before we bought this, before we figured out which one we wanted. I know there's other companies out there that have been around longer as far as making the belt grinders, but for us, there's just so many innovative little pieces on this thing, little step above the quality, the fit, and the finish. Basically it's just a great product. They have a whole bunch of other attachments too that they've come out with, and they're going to be coming out with, especially for knife makers. You can go on their website and see all those. They have the small wheel attachments. They have a top blade attachment. Again, they have full videos on those to see exactly every little attachment, how it works on their website and on their YouTube channel. But we just wanted to show you what we got when we ordered it, how it shows up, and the great quality they have from all the way from shipping it to you to the finish work on the materials, how easy it is to assemble it, and just overall what a great product it is. So if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll have more video reviews on other products as well, and be sure to click a like if you enjoyed it, if it was helpful, and also, of course, please leave a comment. We always appreciate comments. And if you have any other questions, comments, or anything, just give us a call, give us a holler.